European Union head Donald Tusk has taken an extraordinary dig at Brexiteers as he said there was a special place in hell reserved for them for leaving the bloc without a plan. The Sun reports that the president of the European Council lost his temper today as he insisted that the EU wouldn't compromise on safety in Northern Ireland. The top bureaucrat caused uproar with his explosive comments, which came as leaders are urgently looking for a compromise deal to ensure that Brexit happens on time and as planned. MPs have reacted with fury and accused him of deliberately pushing Britain towards no deal. Mr. Tusk told journalists today at a conference in Brussels, "By the way, I have been wondering what that special place in hell looks like for those who promoted Brexit without even a sketch of a plan to carry it out safely." He then doubled down by tweeting the same comment just seconds later, and was seen laughing on camera about the backlash. "There are just 50 days to go until we leave the EU and our most important task is to prevent a no-deal scenario," Mr. Tusk stressed. But he said that Brussels would make no new offer to the UK to help get Theresa May's deal through the House of Commons, despite MPs clearly rejecting it last month over the hated Northern Irish border plan. The top priority for the bloc was to maintain the peace process in accordance with the Good Friday Agreement, Mr. Tusk said. "We will not gamble with peace or put a sell-by date on the resolution. This is why we insist on the backstop," he added. And he admitted the idea of a second Brexit referendum to remain in the EU was dead because both Jeremy Corbyn and Theresa May wouldn't let it happen. "Today, there is no political force and no effective leadership for Remain," he said. MPs instantly hit back furiously at Mr. Tusk to insist they do have a plan for leaving, and his comments helped no one. MP Sammy Wilson branded him a devilish, trident-wielding Euromaniac, and said he was doing the best to keep us tied to the EU. "It is Tusk and his arrogant EU negotiators who have fanned the flame of fear in an attempt to try and overturn the result of the referendum," he stormed. "It would only stiffen the resistance for those who want to break free," he added. Brexiteer MP Andrea Jenkins hit out too, saying, "Mr. Tusk, we have a plan. We are not restricted in our little your mentality. Bring on global Britain, we will embrace global free trade. While you will continue to see the inflexible EU trading bloc in collective perpetual decline." A Number 10 spokesman insisted that it was a question for Donald Tusk as to whether he thinks the use of that language to be helpful, and Commons leader Andrea Leadsom added, "The man has no manners. I think it's extremely regrettable, not at all helpful." Tory MP Grant Shapps raged that Mr. Tusk's infuriating comments were just making no deal more likely. "For goodness sake, at Donald Tusk. By saying, there is a special place in hell for those who promoted. It's enough." Paul Scully said it was the EU who prevented us discussing a free trade deal up front which would have solved the Irish border issue months ago. He added, "Shame one of the many EU leaders has chosen inflammatory language and a skewed position." However, Remainer and second referendum campaigner Philip Lee, who quit the government over Brexit, insisted that the sneering politician was actually correct in his assessment that there was no plan for leaving the EU. He said his comments were based on reality, and he blamed reckless, shallow politicians who promised Brexit they couldn't deliver. The huge row comes as Irish PM Leo Varadkar is in Brussels today for talks with EU leaders. This article originally appeared in The Sun and is republished here with permission.